I may have been laughing, but it ain't no laughing matter right now, people. Liverpool people, welcome to another episode of Transfer Khanage. And this is a serious one, people. Tonight, there is breaking news from my good friend, Dave Alcott. I'm going to bring up his tweet now because he was the first one with this news. There was rumors about Jordan Henderson. Will he go? Will he stay? Rumors of interest from Saudi Arabian teams. But Dave has dropped the bombshell before the Godfather Ornstein, before Paul Joyce, before all of them. He suggests in his article, not that one, this one, exclusive. Jordan Henderson has decided he does want to accept Ettifaq's offer. It is now up to the clubs to find an agreement, as a Saudi side will not pay a large fee. We're going to get into that article and dig deep into it. Welcome to the stream, people. I know it's been a minute. I've just come off the Big Six. I had to do this. You're all very welcome, as long as you hit the like button. If you don't hit the like button, you're not welcome. I'm going to be honest with you, because you're haters in here then. Joining me today, I have Nur Beats. What are you telling me?
Good.
Emergency stream had to be set.
Yeah, I was just watching a movie. I don't know if you've seen it live, but what we've been hearing and the money that we've been hearing is giving certain people life. You get me? So, yeah.
Is that the Eddie Murphy life? That one?
No. It's about some alien, isn't it?
Okay. Oh man, get out of here, man. As you can see, we got the Colonel in the building. Colonel, what are you cooking, man? What are you cooking? This is major breaking news. We had to. I forwarded you. I said, yo, let's do an emergency stream. Being the Colonel, you was ready.
Oh, I'm always ready, man. Always ready to go to war. Always ready in the trenches. Reporting for duty, man. And this is our duty to the people, to the chat. Big up. Smash a like on the way in. The captain. Hanging up the colors. That's a military term for you guys that don't understand. When you hang up the colors, man, you out of there. You know what I mean? You already got the hanger. It's just the clubs to release it. Club to put it on the shelf and say, hey, yeah, man, hang that up. This is where you hang the jersey. Thank you for all the run and the amazing moments. The iconic trophy lifts. It's time to pass the baton.
Oh, Captain's got some strong opinions and thoughts. We're going to get No Beats thoughts and people. We're going to have guests coming in and out of the stream. I've got Steve Plunkett joining us in a little while as well. I've just sent him the stream. We're going to have people coming in, giving their opinions. This is huge. But is it bigger than this? Breaking news calls for some carnage, and the LFC news tonight has been carnage. Hit the likes, people. He's absolutely right. As we welcome the very much loved and respected Steve Plunkett is in the building. Steve, thank you very much for joining us on what could be a hugely hugely what is this? Significant evening of breaking news. Immediate reaction, Steve.
The timing of it's a bit strange, but right on top of pre-season starting, but you never know when these things are going to get offered to you. And my reaction is that if he looks at game time and where he fits in the hierarchy and the pecking order within the football club, now is probably the time. And with the kind of money that's been bandied around for him to go and do that, if it is what it says it is, sort of upwards of £30 million a year at 33, it's too good an offer to turn down. The new lads who've come in are in front of him. Thiago's in front of him right now. Jones is in front of him. Fabinho's in front of him. Bassetti's is in front of him. Harvey Elliott would tell you he's in front of him. And we're still looking at Lavia, who would also tell you he's in front of him. So I've probably given you 7 or 8 names there. That's not a way for a legend of the football club to finish his Liverpool career, sort of sitting on the touchline, hoping for 10 minutes here and there. It would go with our blessing for all the things he's done for the football club. It's probably the right time for everybody, and what a great way to cap your career by earning a shed load of money to look after your family forever. So a little bit shocked who it is, because he's been quite outspoken about what goes on abroad in terms of building leagues and the ethics behind certain organisations. But players say things when they're put in front of cameras. This is a great opportunity for him, and I wouldn't blame him if he took it.
No, I think the timing is the one that's key. It's madness. I think, I'm not sure actually, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I think it's the right move. I'm just not sure about the timing, and especially with Milner going as well, and then Firmino going as well. So many senior players going in one summer potentially. We don't look. First and foremost, it is not a done deal. The suggestion is they've had the family and Henderson have had a last-minute change of heart. According to reports and reliable people that I speak to, his mood, his plan has changed tonight evening in terms of he wasn't up for it. He is now, quote unquote, up for it. Your immediate thoughts?
Yeah, the timing, obviously, Liverpool can't help. This is coming obviously from Ettifaq, and so my opinion is that the money is too good. I could see a scenario where Henderson, his family sat down together, weighed up the pros and cons of it, and just decided it's too good of an offer to turn down. It's probably, I want to meet the people that's criticizing Henderson for if he does take it up, if they would ever turn such an opportunity down to secure not just yourself but your family for generations to come. So in that sense, I'm happy it's happening now rather than, let's say, 2 days before the season starts.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
That way Klopp and the team can, they can sort out replacements, or, really have a think about how they can replace Henderson's vocal energy, if anything, and his leadership in the group. And as Steve said, probably the right time. It's good to go on a high where the team still, where the fans still love you, and he can go and look after his family, and then eventually, help Stevie G, sort out Ettifaq and try and build, I don't know, maybe a good legacy for Gerrard as well.
This is mad. It's come at a crazy time. It's come at in a crazy situation. Let's go through the article that actually broke the news. So that was the tweet, I beg your pardon. Where's the article? Okay, the article reads, I have to share the screen in it for the article. Yeah. But while I do that, Zuberi, Steven Gerrard links. So Steven Gerrard takes over the club, and then Steven Gerrard decides or headhunts Jordan Henderson as the one that he wants to spark this, whatever you want to call it, this adventure project. Jordan Henderson is very, very, look, we're going to go on to talk about his playing ability and what he can offer us or what he can't offer us anymore. We're going to go into that. But in terms of respect, Jordan Henderson has huge respect in the footballing world, doesn't he?
Well, footballing world is a broad term. I won't get into the soccer world, but when you look at how you want to end your career, for Henderson personally, I don't think he'll get a better opportunity as far as seeing it out, his footballing career. Gerrard left Liverpool. He came to America, MLS. I don't think Hendo sells as many shirts coming to the MLS. He stays at Liverpool. Where does he end up if he doesn't take a move like this, where he goes back to Sunderland? You know what I'm saying? Southampton. So when you're ending your career, you have to kind of think, how do you want it to die down? You don't want it to go on where, the fans have turned on you. You don't want it to go on where it's a bad season and, you're splitting opinions with the fan base that once adored you and admire you and respect you. So him leaving in this manner, whether it's, last minute, change your heart with the family, I think it's the right move for a guy like Henderson. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not really excited about Hendo coming to like MLS. And when you're looking at the other leagues, apart from the Prem that would take him, this is the best place for him. And, shout out to the Saudis for getting Gerrard in. I think he'll, add some value to that. And I think Gerrard reaching out for Hendo also brings value to that Saudi league, to Gerrard's team, and what they're building there. It's almost one of these ones where it's like written in the stars almost. You know, Gerrard take the armband off, give it to Hendo. He gets this coaching opportunity in this up and coming league. What a guy to bring in as well. You know, this might even be a bigger reach for Gerrard than bringing a Coutinho to Villa. Bringing Hendo over there, man, it's massive.
It is
it's massive, and that's the best way I think it can go. But I don't think a lot of people rate and respect Hendo. Man's lifted every trophy at Liverpool, and every trophy at Liverpool, barring the Europa League, that's big, and that's some value he's bringing with him as well. I just don't think that value would be appreciated if he should come to this side of the world in the MLS, or where other older players go to retire. So, big on him.
As I said, Steve, Dave, friend of mine, broke this news just a couple of hours ago, if that even, I think, maybe an hour ago. Exclusive, Jordan Henderson has decided that he wants to accept the offer from Ettifaq. He says it's now up to the clubs to agree a fee. Ettifaq are hopeful that the Liverpool captain will be allowed to leave for free or a minimal transfer fee. If a higher transfer fee is sought to be Liverpool, the deal is unlikely to go through. Henderson will be offered a 3-year deal by the Pro League side. Steven Gerrard wants this former teammate to be wants to bring his former mate to demand. The Liverpool captain informed the Saudi Arabian League through intermediaries that he's willing to accept the club's offer. An official offer will be sent if the Saudi club feel they can reach an agreement with Liverpool. Jordan Henderson is set to be offered a 3-year deal with the England international at least 50% more of his current salary. Henderson, 33, has been at Liverpool for the past 12 years. Discussions will now take place with Liverpool to see if an agreement will be reached. Where to start with that, Steve? I guess the point I want to start with is the decision has been made. It strikes me as, obviously it's a life-changing decision, right? It's one of those ones where you have to think and think again and think again. It's impossible to put anyone in be in his shoes right now. But with the situation like we find ourselves, with the playing time, the state of play, like you said, the midfielders and everything, no one can begrudge him this if he accepts this offer, right?
Absolutely. At 33, we've seen many of our legends' careers come to an end, and they go off to do different projects. Some are exciting, some aren't. I think the thing with Gerrard is, when you go to an environment like that, Gerrard's got to find some people around him he can trust. That's absolutely key to any project you do in any walk of life. You have to have people around you can trust. So Gary McAllister will likely go with him. Michael Beale's gone to Rangers, so he's got to find another coach. To have Jordan Henderson around, the consummate pro that does all the things that a professional footballer should do, because that's the way he is, not because he forces himself to do it, because it's kind of rinse and repeat every single season. You get the same thing from Jordan Henderson. It's indoctrinated into who he is. He doesn't have to try to do these things. So anyone coming to the football club, a football club that includes Jordan Henderson, will see the right way to go about being a professional footballer. That's not a bad thing if you're starting a project on foreign shores and you don't really know what you're going to, and you don't really know who you can attract, because they're not one of the richest clubs in Saudi by any stretch. They're not owned by the PIF. They're outside of that. So and they finished 7th last season. So he's got some work to do to develop that, take it on. Bringing someone like Jordan Henderson in is sending out all the right signals and all the right messages. And do you know what? There's been a lot of umming and ahhing about whether Steven Gerrard's got it as a manager, and after the Aston Villa sort of situation. This shows that he does think properly about football. This is a calculated choice to choose Jordan Henderson to go over there because he knows what he will give him. You're quite right, Grizz. I mean, this must be mental for the Henderson family to have this offer put in front of you. 4 times his current salary at 33, when we've had the best years, 500 games of his football career in the hardest working midfield European football has seen in his era. Go and enjoy football at a more sedate pace, where you can have bigger impact on the games and get ridiculously well rewarded for it, because he deserves it. because everything we've achieved in the modern era at Liverpool Football Club, whilst not being technically the best footballer, he has contributed to absolutely everything else that delivered that success. So I have no problem, like the other guys, with him going off to do that. That there must be in turmoil. Their heads must be all over the place with an offer like this comes in, and for them to change their mind, there's something been said that he's going to have a conversation with Klopp in the next sort of 12 to 24 hours about expectations. You probably find that's already been done. For that decision to change like that, he probably already knows where he fits in. He's had a look at the lads doing the lactate test and breezing through that and thinking to himself, you know, I'm going to go and get myself really, really fit. He looks absolutely ripped at the moment, but going to the gym and turning fat into muscle doesn't make you run faster, doesn't make you recover the pace that you didn't have last season. So there's lots of contributory factors. The Leicester game at home when Dewsbury Hall just ghosted past him and scored. Those things for a player of Jordan Henderson's self-pride would be difficult to deal with, and I probably think that's why he went and smashed the gym and got himself into really good shape. So at least physically he could contribute something. He must be looking at this, same as Firmino did when Gakpo came and when other players and other players came to the mix, thinking, actually, I've had a little glimpse of what the future is, and it doesn't necessarily include me. So he probably sat down with his family and said, I don't want to sit in the stands and watch. I don't want to sit on the bench and get rapturous applause week in, week out from the home fans just because I'm warming up. Football means more to me. I'm not ready to sort of die on that hill right now. I want to play. And I've got this opportunity to earn more money than I could ever dream of in a really exciting project with a bloke I have all the respect in the world for. I can't find a reason, Grizz, for him to not do it. I genuinely can't. And that's not because I want to see him out the club. You know me. I don't subscribe to the Twitterverse's idea that he should have gone 5 years ago. That's not me. I don't agree with that. Or 3 years ago, whatever it is. I don't agree with that. Now is the time. Massive offer. Head must be all over the shop. Bit of excitement, bit of trepidation, bit of sadness, but don't get paid reward yourself for all of the time you've put in, working through those injuries to get back to play. Go and get paid handsomely and finish your football career on a high with loads of money.
No, we've got a couple of super chats that some are related. Obviously, they're all going to be around Hendo, but people are already looking for his replacement and stuff and things like that. TG sends in a super chat. Appreciate the donation. He says Dewsbury Hall will be a brilliant replacement. His numbers are very impressive. Would be cheap, good age, homegrown, wouldn't demand a lot of minutes. What this means, Noor, and we'll probably tackle it if the story emerges later on, probably something to look forward to on Redfella Sundays, Steve, make a note, because we'll go into the homegrown situation, quota, so many complications possibly arising around this. Dewsbury Hall, what's your thoughts on Dewsbury Hall?
I'm not a fan.
Don't go by my smile, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, to be honest. Dewsbury Hall. Watching him closely last season, I mean, the season before he showed really big glimpses that he's stepping up a gear. But last season showed me some frailties I didn't like mentally, where he would switch off, and I'm not a big fan, to be honest. If we're gonna replace Henderson, I'd rather be a top upcoming youngster, or give people from the academy a chance to try and impress. I'm a big Morton fan. I loved what he did at Blackburn last season, so I'll prefer to give him a chance rather than a Dewsbury Hall.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie. I'm a fan of Dewsbury Hall. That's why I said don't go by my smile. My smile can be deceptive. A lot of people will attest to that. But yeah, Dewsbury Hall is a player. I'm not going to lie. But obviously, we're looking levels above that. Zuberi, any thoughts on Dewsbury Hall, the Leicester City? You know, I know you got your thoughts.
No, that's your guy, man. Listen, man. I don't
say your guy. Say your guy. Say your name. Say the name. Everyone knows it anyway. Say the name that you profess to want to be at Liverpool.
No, I think that's dated information. We're on to different things. I think Hendo leaving now would means that the Brexit midfield have officially exited. And in politics, you have to usher in new chapters. So we need guys that can usher in a new name for our new midfield that we're here creating as well.
No, fair enough, fair enough. Brad says, I think he spoke to Klopp today, and that it's coming out now. Thank you for the super chat. Look, there's conspiracy theories. There's theories like Henderson came back fit and probably spoke to, like Steve says, and says, like, he looked at the situation. We're bringing in 2 first-team starters, right? We all agree McAllister and Szoboszlai are pretty much starters. They're nailed on. You don't chase them like we did and spend money on them like we did and watch our midfield perform like they have to not let them start. If them 2 are starters and we know Fabinho is the nominated number 6, then we have Curtis Jones, who's shown, not only shown at the end of last season, but progressed into the into the off-season with the under-21s, won the under-21s. By all accounts, was one of the players of the tournament. That's Curtis Jones. I've named you 2, 3 others, and then we have the enigma that is Thiago. Henderson, at his age, after everything he'd done, do you reckon Zuberi, he looked at it like Steve's saying and saying, yo, 5th, 6th choice? He's got a different mindset to James Milner. James Milner was happy to do what's needed. Does it look like Henderson's not ready for that?
Yeah, it's one of those where you're a victim of your own success. So him being our captain, Milner accepted it because he wasn't the nailed-on captain. He was more the vice captain. So we're moving a role now where our captain is going to be vice captain. That's kind of a weird dynamic. So once your captain kind of come close to the end, it's almost passing of the baton. So when you pass the baton, you can't pass it, but then you're now vice captain. You see what I'm saying? So it's just that culmination point of it's not going to look good for you to end your career vice captain coming off the bench and 10. It's just a weird one to see. Really, it doesn't really bodes well. It'll be almost like we're just giving him game time because he's the actual captain and not necessarily earned the right to be taking people off the starting 11. You know, so it's definitely a weird one where for all parties involved, I appreciate the family if they actually accepted this. I would respect the club more if they can also honor it as well. But it's really the passing of the guard. You know, he was the captain. He's done wonderful things, wonderful moments. Loved his energy from day one. But you can't have your captain just coming off the bench, seeing out games. It's not really a great look, you know, because whatever we won, it wouldn't be because of our great captain.
That's a great point. Milner was different. Steve Zuberi makes a very good point. That's interesting. You can't really have that. Then you would have to change probably. Do you think we'd have had to change the captaincy, the club captaincy, if he was going to be this bit part player? Or would he have still kept the captaincy and, like Zuberi says, bringing him on for the last, like we've done with Milner. Whenever he was said to be the new Milner, I always doubted it, guys. I'm not joking. It's not after the Lord Mayor's show. I'm telling you, I always thought, Henderson, because James Milner used to come in and crash into tackles, make sliding tackles. Henderson's not that kind of player, Steve.
No, I think because of who and what he is in the football club, I don't think he loses the captaincy. I think I respect he keeps the captaincy for all the things I said before about taking him across to Saudi to show players how to be a consummate professional, to do things the right way. That would have remained the case, I think, if he'd stayed. It's an interesting point. I think I respect he would have kept it. It would certainly be interesting to see who emerges from the current squad as the sort of the leading party, if you like, because they have 2 or 3, if not 4, in a hierarchy, depending on who plays. I think it's an interesting one. Would you have a captain of that standing, sit and watch him week in, week out? I think if you sat and talked to Klopp and Linders about it and said, you know, should he do it? They might say, well, you know, he's going to sit on the bench and watch a lot of football. You know, we talk about Curtis Jones is going to get a lot of game time at the expense of who? Probably someone like Jordan Henderson. So I think if he stays, he remains as captain because of his standing in and around the football club and because of the respect that he's earned over the years. It's not ideal to have a captain sit on the bench. I totally agree with that. But we've got a sort of a leadership group with, as I say, with 3 or 4 players in it, with Andy Robertson and Trent's in that group, and so is Virgil. And they'll probably add somebody else to it if he chooses to leave. So it's difficult. Listen, you want your captain on the pitch, rolling his sleeves up, smashing into people, and leading by example. Gerrard wasn't a great talker, but he was a leader by the things he did on the pitch. Henderson's more of a talker than a player because he's not got the same technical ability as a Gerrard. So it would be interesting to see who and what is the replacement for him, because I'll put it out there, I don't want to see Virgil van Dijk as the Liverpool captain. I think there's other players in the squad that have got more fire in their belly to do what they need to do.
Interesting. Keep that.
That's my opinion.
I love that thought. Yeah, we're going to have some fiery debate on Sundays, building up nicely. I like that. That could be very much a debate we're going to have. No, obviously, a few super chats coming in and around the talking points about Henderson. If Hendo leaves, would Lavia be his replacement, or would Liverpool reconnect with Thuram? From your point of view, in your opinion, which profile of player would you likely to be seen brought in, or like to?
I think depending on the plan that Klopp has got with Linders and the scouting department, what have you, I think they need to start thinking not just about Henderson's position now, and also maybe Thiago if they're not going to re-sign him next season. So someone that can do a bit of what Henderson used to do. They've kind of replaced that with Szoboszlai, to be honest. A much more better technician than Henderson, and probably because I was watching the Charity Shield back today, incidentally, because I missed football so much, and I was thinking, let me watch that game back. And there was some key phases of play where Henderson, it broke down on Henderson's watch, mainly because he's lost that little bit of intensity. So he started to rush his passes maybe, and maybe didn't take care of it. And Szoboszlai is someone that's already replaced, a very good replacement for him. So I would say someone in the ilk of a Thiago, maybe with a little bit more physicality. And I would be looking at someone, if I had to choose myself, I really, really like the guy that was playing for Ajax last year. What was his name? Alvarez, I think it was. Was it Alvarez? Mm-hmm. Really good guy. He was like he could play the box-to-box role, or he could sit at a DM as well. So, and I know Klopp and Linders like this players that can move about the pitch and can play in different positions. And I think that's where football's headed. So I would probably go for someone with not just a Henderson type role, but also can sit if we have to, depending on injuries, can sit at the number 6, or someone that can play in a 2, or also creative enough to play in the 2-8 roles.
I think you're asking for the perfect player again. No, like, I don't know where you went with that, man. You want a player to be able to do everything. I think it's Lavia is ready and waiting. I think the key to this for me, and just opinion now, the key for this is Szoboszlai signing is automatically your Hendo replacement, I think, in the first 11. And then you have an Elliott as an understudy to Szoboszlai. I think on the other side, you have a McAllister and Curtis Jones vying for that. But then you have no Fabinho understudy. Bajcetic, okay, no problem. People are going to come back with Bajcetic. You know my thoughts on Bajcetic. He shouldn't be playing more than 10 games for me. He shouldn't be. He needs to develop more. If he comes in and performs like he doesn't, holds it down, fair enough. But we're fucking with Man City here. Aspirations too. We ain't looking to finish 5th or 4th again. We're looking to mess with City. Are we really saying Bajcetic is on the levels of messing with City? No. Are we saying Romeo Lavia is? No. But I think Romeo Lavia's potential and ceiling is high. I think Lavia is the one. I'm going to ask you a very different type of question, the next super chat. And this is probably, Zuberi, you know about leadership qualities and everything, and people overhype it, people underhype it. It's intangibles. It can't be measured. Leadership can't be measured, or can it? How do we look? Big up Pixelated Pigeon. Of course, every time he says, concerned about what this does to the leadership structure at LFC, but maybe it will help certain players kick it up a gear in that respect, like Trent. How does this work psychologically from the leadership? Milner, Henderson, even Bobby, not what's the word, Steve? Like not loud, sort of not
extrovert.
Loud, not extrovert, but behind the scenes, seen as a respectful leader, right? How does this work in a setup like a football team or a sports team, Zuberi, from your experience? How does this work? And how does this affect anything? Would it affect anything? Vice captain and captain going in the matter of weeks after Jurgen Klopp has spoken so much about leadership qualities in these certain mans, the footballing culture?
Well, yeah, respect to the super chat. I think it's spot on, the super chat. You know, when you talk about stepping up a gear, there was some fans that were saying, "Hey, Hendo doesn't do much. He just comes on and scream, and he's screaming at a team full of leaders." Remember, most of our players are captain for their home country. You know, Trent stepping up a gear. I'll probably get on that Trent wagon in a couple of weeks. You know, if he does go as far as him stepping up, because he did get the armband over Salah. We saw a little, you know, was Salah angry about that, not feeling respected? But it's the hierarchy of the club. And when Gerrard left, he gave it to Hendo. A lot of people was like, not sure if this is the right guy to be given the band to. What this does with Milner leaving, which was something I wanted, Hendo leaving, not sure where this came from, but if it happens, it happens. You're restructuring the club, Grizz. We're talking about a rebuild. How can we rebuild if we're keeping old furnitures and old pillars? Some of these pillars need to be knocked down. You know, it wasn't necessarily by choice or by design, but it's just a part of that rebuild. So we're going to be popping up a new spine in the team. We're going to be popping up, you know, a new leadership structure. We might see some experimenting with this during preseason, and it's happening at a good time. Like I said, it's not like a last, you know, days of the window, moments of the window where it's more of a headache for Klopp. I think it's good. So we'll see the likes of Jones probably stepping up a bit more. We've seen him done that towards the end of the season. I wouldn't bank too much on Elliott, great squad player. Trent, this is the one I'm really focusing on. I've seen moments where he's the only one running around with the passion and the fire in his belly. You know, so maybe he's ready now to be like, hey, look, this is my team. I'm fighting for this team. McAllister, Sabazalai, they all have leadership quality. So when all these leaders go, you just have to salute them and salute the youngins and understand that, look, he's not leaving the club in a bad moment. He's leaving the club in the heart of a rebuild. We still got Alisson back there. You know, we still got VVD, Kanate, talk about fire, not as a captain, but we still have some great leaders on the pitch that can fight for this badge and represent us well next season.
Yeah, look, Steve Zberry's made some good points there. You know, I was concerned this morning in my head when I thought about it, but Zberry's calmed me down, and sort of the more I listen to that, I hear that and I feel that, I understand that. You're right. We ask for a rebuild or whatever different terminology used. This will be huge though, won't it? I mean, as I said, the 4 players that we've named, plus Henderson, that's 5 first team, first core, first team squad players leaving in one huge summer. It's exciting and nervous at the same time, if you know what I mean. It's exciting times. Like, we want to see what the future brings, like those players that he's mentioned, pretty much captaining all their national teams. But there's always a tinge of nervousness, and this could backfire. Too much change. Remember in the soonest, me and Steve will remember, don't know, Zuberi remember, Noor definitely. Noor, yeah, people don't know Noor is like hitting 60 and shit. I know he looks 21. People don't know that. But do you remember the Souness era where he came in and changed a whole heap of stuff very quickly? It's not that level, but there's a bit of doubt. What's the word, Steve? Like a bit of uncertainty. So much.
Yeah, there's a bit of trepidation around this for me, and that's there's 2 ways to look at that. The first way would be that the Cater, the Ox leaving was the right thing for the football club, because you couldn't rely on them, so you couldn't put them in the mix as your readily available midfielders come Saturday. You couldn't trust them, and when you lose your trust in your players, you lose everything, and it's time to move them on. Just surprised it took as long as it did for those 2 guys. In losing Milner and Henderson, you're losing part of your management structure. That Milner used to put fires out with the players before they even got to Linders and Klopp. Yeah. So, and that's really important. That allows the manager to do his job without being brought into petty-minded squabbles and things like that.
Great point.
Because there's loads of that goes on in football, loads of it, and we don't hear about most of it. There's a fight pretty much every day in a football club. It happens. These are guys loaded with testosterone trying to prove they're better than the next man. What I want to see is a new breed of leadership in terms of hunger and fire in the belly, because when you've been to the well 4 or 5 times in terms of European finals, and you've 90-plus points it 3 times, and you've run City close, comes a point where you get up one morning and the fire isn't there, and the willingness and the energy to continue the fight isn't there. I think if you give, and this is interesting because there's a lot of conversation at the moment about Andy Robertson's place in the squad if we sign a central defender, which irrespective of who that might be, he's a name that people are saying, well, he's an obvious candidate to come out of the side. Can't see it. I just can't see Jurgen Klopp dropping Andy Robertson because he's
not now.
Well, and he epitomises everything that a Jurgen Klopp player should be. He is the quintessential Jurgen Klopp player. He's the template now in the football club of buying an £8 million player that everyone went, what the F did you do that for? And turned him into the best left back in the world. His resume, his experience, his time at the club, I don't see a world where he gets dropped for somebody else. I think we'll persevere with him. That's one of the names. Imagine giving Andy Robertson the Liverpool club captain's armband. That screaming at Virgil van Dijk at times this season when things didn't go very well, that is what is needed. That fire in the belly, that passion to say, this isn't bloody good enough. Are you happy with that? Because I'm not, and I'm the captain. You will listen to me. And all the great sides have had leaders like that. You daren't cross Graham Souness as a captain because he would have destroyed you. You daren't cross other successful captains in other eras, in other teams, because there's one I'm thinking of, would have destroyed you. You daren't cross Steven Gerrard because of the death stare that everyone talks about, the way he just looked at you as if to say, really? You're going to do that? And it got you inside and made you change. You then crossed Jordan Henderson because he epitomised everything that Klopp tried to be and wanted to be, both on and off the pitch. From this group of players, we need 3, maybe 4 lads who are going to pick up that mantle. Who's the next James Milner? Who's the next Jordan Henderson? And I've already said, I don't necessarily think that's Virgil van Dijk. For me, Virgil needs to spend his time sorting his own game out before he can level criticism at others. And I don't think that's unfair based on the season we've just seen. Andy Robbo, for me, is a prime candidate to wear that armband with the pride that it needs, with the passion that it needs, and with the desire to make Liverpool all the things it needs to be to challenge Manchester City. Trent's a really good shout to be in the captains group.
Yeah, well, that's a super chat. Hastings says Hendo leaves the way for Trent to captain. But
Grace, Trent was brilliant for 14 games last season, let's be honest. Prior to that, we sat and spoke about loads of stuff where we wanted him to improve, loads of stuff where he was lackadaisical and giving the ball away. I think he needs to get to grips with his new role and all of that stuff before we look at giving him a captaincy. Let's not make him run before he can walk. He's still developing into this extra body in midfield role alongside the sort of designated deep lying playmaker. That's what I would like him to focus his time on. Andy Robertson's just fired up and charged up, ready to go right now as a potential captain candidate for me.
Steve, can I interject there real quick? The Trent banter and the Trent criticism of last season, we seem to forget in the beginning stages he was creating loads of goal scoring opportunities that weren't being capitalized on by the attackers, and that definitely affected his game and his mood. And I'm not using it as an excuse. What I'm trying to say is the criticism for Trent last season and some of the criticism for Robbo, as you said, people are asking and looking at him like a fringe player in the 11, where people are looking at Trent now and going, probably the first name on the clean sheet, where they're not having the same energy for Robbo. I wouldn't want my captain to follow Jordan Henderson, where our captain wasn't even like a nailed down 11 type of player, if you understand what I'm saying. So when we're comparing Robbo and Trent, I would lead more to Trent because of how important he is to us. I understand everything, the praises Robbo have and, the identity of what he brings to the team. But I don't want my captain to be a guy whose position isn't even solidified. So that's just how I look at it. But I definitely understand your shouts and points for Robbo.
That's a really good point. That's a really, really good point. The thing with Trent for me, there was 15 games in the middle of the season where he just fired the ball straight at the opposition. And we sat there on a Sunday night as red fellas going, when's it going to change? Should he come out of the side? Should we play James Milner there? We played James Milner there against Manchester City because we had concerns about Trent in the midfield role. Jamie Carragher said it. It's like a different animal. He wants the ball all of the time. He wants to be involved all of the time. He wants to orchestrate everything. He is running the game from midfield. So this pushing him into midfield thing works really, really well. It's kind of unleashed the side of him we haven't seen. He will be a leader because he does that. So do you need to give him the armband as well? We've always had players in the football club that have been captains without being captains, and he can be that person. It's difficult because Andy Robertson is, and as I said before, Andy Robertson is the guy that everybody just assumes comes out if we sign a centre back. So does that put a question mark over that possible role for him as well? I don't know. I just see videos of him in and around the club, videos of him in and around training. He's good for team morale. He's good for the stuff that needs to be done as a leader in the group. He's very, very motivated, very passionate on the day. The one thing you can say about Trent is when it doesn't work for Trent, he's very languid. He's almost lackadaisical at times, and you just want him to come off the pitch and put somebody on there who will do the basics. They can't do what Trent does, but they can do the basics, which Trent hasn't been doing in that game, if that makes sense. Whereas you give certain players captain's armband, it's absolutely the making of them. It takes them from there to there because they just get it and they understand it. And that's really important, who that guy is going to be. And Trent is a very, very relaxed, chilled out young man generally anyway.
But Steve,
does that fire him up? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But there's only one way of finding out, guys, I think. Because you're right. It could be the making. It can't be the breaking of a guy, because you just remove the captaincy and he concentrates on his game again, right? Pixelate, as usual, makes brilliant points. Says Gerrard got the armband at the same age as Trent is right now.
Different player.
I was just going to say, no, totally different outlook on football, on life, it seems. Different players, right? You can't compare the two. But the points that you two have made are very valid. Like, I've always wondered what it takes. What's it going to take for Trent to get that fire in his belly? And when I mean fire in his belly, I mean, I'm sure he has it internally, but we want to see it. And some people say, well, it's not important that we see it. Well, I think it is. I think sometimes it's important that fans see also the fire in the belly in terms of physically as well. Like aesthetically to the eye. We want to see it. Could this be the turning point? Now, it might not mean captain straight away, and I guess we can get into it now. I guess we'll get into the captaincy debate. It could be a vice captaincy role, because Henderson and Milner, who's captain now then? Is it Virgil, isn't it? Virgil is third in line. Mm-hmm. Who's fourth?
Robbo.
Yeah.
It was Robbo then Trent, to be fair, but I think they might just revolt.
Well, I don't think it's Trent. I think it's, guys, do you remember how it was based? Is based on longevity. So if it's based on longevity, I remember Jurgen Klopp saying seniority makes a big difference, huge call. So if that's the case, Robertson and Virgil are the new captains and vice captains. Are you comfortable with that, Noor, or do you see what Stian saying and Zuberi are saying about the Trent dilemma? Because I think it's going to be a factor. Local lad, Steven Gerrard, you have to get the club, like Steve says. I think it's important.
And I think this might be a situation where the responsibility awakens a different Trent.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I really do. Because breaking through the team at such a young age, and with all these professionals like Milner, Henderson, Thiago around, that's been there, done it, and have captained maybe some really important teams. He's come in and probably thought, okay, I'll just concentrate on my game. However, if you give him the responsibility, there's I would say there's a big chance that he steps up to it, because it gives him a new lease of life. Just like him stepping into midfield gave him a new lease of life. He's like, this is the position I've always wanted. And probably in his head is the captaincy is something that I've always
definitely, I agree. He grew up wanting to be Liverpool captain one day, right?
Exactly, and if you give it to him and the responsibility is there, not only is he thinking about his own game now, but he's actually thinking about the team cohesion, how it works, and that might unleash a different type of Trent, a Trent that we haven't seen yet, a Trent that can galvanize a team and bring them together and for years to come. And he's a local lad, as everyone says, and nobody can beat the drive and the passion of a local kid that's grown up with the stadium not too far away from him, hearing folklore stories about people in his family going to the games and stuff, and you can't beat that. And I think someone from the locality to represent the club is a massive thing for me. And I, even though I'm not local, but I would love to see a local lad representing Liverpool.
Zuberi, Henderson, obviously, look, as a player, he had his deficiencies, weaknesses. We've discussed it. We discuss it every week. Look, Henderson can't be a starter anymore. We said that pretty much all season. It definitely was the case coming into this season. He was never going to be a star this season. Are you excited by the idea that no more Henderson and Milner? You know, like we were always saying, do you remember you being a critic of Klopp at certain times would say they're his go-to boys?
Yeah.
Now what happens? Who's his go-to people? Because he had his go-to people. You used to make this claim. Now, who are his go-to people? Does it change the mindset? Is this what I was suggesting to you that's going to happen? You said, I don't really believe it. And me and you discussed on the call-in show, which is going to be lively, people. This Saturday is going to be a lively one, I think.
Oh, it's gonna be probably one of the biggest ones in the offseason.
I'm bringing it forward to you then, because you were saying you don't think Klopp's learned or has got it in him to make this many changes and be comfortable with it. Looks like he could be. Looks like it.
Let me drag you in Steve's memory to the first time I was talking to Steve, and I was actually very critical on Trent, and I was saying, why have a guy that you can't even take off the pitch? You know, why have a guy that's not performing for you? Why have a guy that's not doing what you want? And I think that was down to the type of person Trent is. I think he was always bigger than the right back role. I think he was always bigger than some of the things and instructions he was asked to do in the game. And hence the reason why Klopp was just yelling at him, and he just had to like, yo, bro, get out of here. The reason why I'm bringing that conversation back up, I think this is the catalyst to repair that dynamic between Klopp and Trent, saying that, hey, look, you're now my go-to guy. I'm relying on you because, you know, sometimes you got that bad boy that you can't really rein in. And the only way to rein them, like, it's not like they're enemies, but it's like, you know, keep your enemies close. I've seen Klopp yell at Trent time and time again, and Trent is just like, yo, shut up, man. I'm just going to do what I want to do. Sometimes
it looks like that. You're right. Sometimes it does look like that.
I'm telling you, this is the perfect opportunity for Klopp to go, yo, Trent, let's fix this. Let's me and you going back and forth. Let's come together, because us coming together is the best way to get the best out of this team. You're obviously quality. This is what I want. This is what I expect from the team. And I think Klopp can now funnel the actual instructions and quality through Trent onto the team. Let's not debate it. Trent is probably one of the best passer of the ball. He dictates most of our play and our attacking play. That big switch to Robbo. So Robbo kind of complements the way Trent play. A lot of our players, even the captain, complements the way Trent plays. A lot of our tactics revolve around Trent. Hence why when he went through the middle, it's a different team and a different everything. I'm probably advocating for Trent right now on this stream, saying, Klopp, if you're listening, if someone clips this and send it to you, take heed. I've always said build a team around Trent. This is the perfect moment. And I hope the players vote for Trent as captain as well, because Klopp can now rein in Trent and mold the image. Because before Hendo was captain, a lot of people didn't see how he affected Liverpool. A lot of people didn't even know he had that leadership skill. And Klopp said, nah, man, I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to work with him. Some can even say, if you guys love Klopp in the chat on the panel right now, this is a credit you should give to Klopp. Klopp made Hendo the captain he is today. And people are saying probably one of the greatest captain Liverpool have ever seen. I don't agree with that statement, but I think Klopp built Hendo in that image. And I think Klopp can do the same for Trent. This can be the make or break for Trent being the greatest captain Liverpool has ever seen. and Klopp has the opportunity to do it. And Grizz, I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't, you probably see more Klopp criticism coming for me, because he's not going to get a better time to rein Trent in and unleash the Trent we saw and know that's in there. Because I feel like Trent is limited. We need this to happen. We need Trent to be the next captain.
Miche says Zuberi has sold me. Give it to Trent.
Hey, come on, man. Come on.
It's difficult to see past Virgil, right? Virgil becomes now captain. If reports from very reliable journalists are to be believed, that Henderson has decided that he wants to accept the offer. See, there's a difference between he's decided to accept the offer and the club's coming to an agreement. I think the Saudi team are not willing to pay more than 15 to maximum 20 million, Steve. I think they're looking to pay around the 10 million figure, which I tweeted this morning. What is a good how do you value this? How do you work this out? What does he mean to us? How much is he worth to us at his age? Taking all these things into consideration, what are you doing, Steve, if you're the owner or the people that decide what the price is and whatnot?
I take into consideration what he's given the football club, and I treat him with integrity and respect. And I think you've got to make it easy for him if he wants to go. So you
wouldn't fight. Okay.
No, I wouldn't be going to them saying we want 25 million, because we paid 25 million for Thiago 3 years ago. Right. On 7.5 million. It was 30 million. 7.5 million over amortized over 4 years to get to 30. I think with Henderson, if you can get 10 million quid, not euros or dollars or whatever, you can get 10 million quid. I think you've got to look at that. He's not a player you can sell to go and spend his money on another player. That's not what we're doing here. It's about looking after him because he's looked after us. If that makes sense.
Great point.
So do the right thing and let him do what he wants to do with the remainder of his career. If you get 10 million quid, you get 10 million quid, and you bank it, and it goes towards adding the Nat Phillips money and maybe a little bit here and a little bit there, and then you go and buy that squad player. Because if I take the point about the lad from Ajax, if you go and sign him, he's expecting to play. The reality is he probably wouldn't, because he's not a six or a deep line playmaker. He's someone who wants to be advance of the first set of midfielders in a Szoboszlai or a McAllister role, and they're going to nail that down between them, left and right hand side, as you said before, Grizz, with their respective understudies. So who do you buy? Dewsbury Hall was an interesting shout, because he's another one who likes to be sort of in the final third, pushing on with the ball. Curtis Jones wants to do that. Harvey Elliott wants to do that. There's an argument to say we've got that covered. Gakpo can do it in an environment where we don't have those players available. We've seen that. He did it with great effect against Manchester United in the 7-0. He dropped so deep during that game to pick up the ball and was the catalyst for everything that we did well. It's another deep line playmaker, and I've said this loads of times on Bedfellas Quiz that I don't think we need a specialist six, because we're putting Trent in alongside him. You can play with a deep line playmaker in the mould of a Thiago, who was never a six at Bayern Munich. He was a deep line playmaker. Goretzka did the really deep role, and he played with him and was the link between the defence and the likes of Muller and people like that as the playmaker, the link player. I don't think you need a specialist six in that two that sits in midfield, because you've got the extra bodies in there, because it was 5-on-5, it's now 6-on-5 type of thing. It works really, really strangely how we ask questions of the opposition by putting an extra body in there, saying, go on then, how are you going to deal with that? So I don't think we need a specialist six, which is why I know you're a massive fan of Lavia. I'm not too fussed either way, whether we get him or whether we don't. I think he's an awful lot of money. And we listen to a lot of Liverpool fans say, don't put 18, 19-year-old players in the base of your midfield and put pressure on them. This time you'd be paying £50 million to do that with a lad from Southampton, because they turned down 40 in the summer from Chelsea last year. They've got 40 in the buyback clause from City next season, should they choose to execute it. for 10 million quid, you might as well leave him in your championship side, try and use him to get you promoted. That's probably the way I think Southampton are looking at it. It's 50 or nothing, and I think that's far too much money to pay for him. So if you let Henderson go for 10 million, you bring in a squad player, someone that has no expectation to take minutes off the likes of Fabinho, off the likes of an emerging Bajcetic. I think this season you will see him kick on. Someone that probably is even an understudy to the likes of Jones and Elliott. I don't think you need. There's no clamour for a starting midfielder if you let Henderson leave the football club, because Henderson isn't starting midfielder in the current status quo.
H-Sing says, to secure our midfield, thank you for the super chase, to secure our midfield for next 10 seasons, getting Lavia to eventually replace Fabinho and Ramsey to replace Hendo, that is long-term succession. I think people are asking for too much if you think we're getting another Henderson replacement per se. I think it's more of an understudy to Fabinho, someone who can step in. And I think that's what's going to be key to the next signing. Steve doesn't think we need to bring in a starting central midfielder, Noor. What's your opinions on that? I'm of the opinion I would want a starter. I mean, once we pulled out Jude, I said the only way we compensate for that is 3 starting midfielders, especially with the overhaul that was needed. Or are you comfortable with the emergence of Curtis Jones and Bajcetic to be that third starter, so to speak, if you know what I mean? If McAllister and Szoboszlai are new incomings that are starters, then the third new midfielder is from within.
Yeah, I'll slightly disagree with that, only because I know a Jurgen Klopp team, with the intensity they play, there's going to be injuries. And so we need quality all round. The likes of Naby and Ox that's given me PDST over the last few years, that it can get sticky. And we don't want to be in a situation where we have to rely on an Elliott or a Jones, because they can come in and do a job here or there, but for sustained over a season, I think it might be a little bit too much for them. For Jones and Elliott, I would like them to get like about 20-25 games a season, build them up, and eventually each.
That's a lot of games. You're saying it like
as in not starting. I'm talking about like they're coming on
appearances.
Appearances where they because I want to trust them and I want to see it come from them. Once they build that trust and we can rely on them, we can pin it on them. Like, I can rely on Jones for a full season. I can rely on Elliott for a full season. Then I have no issue in relying on them. But having been through last season where midfielders were dropping like flies, I think we can, especially in that midfield where it's up and down constantly, and that's where the energy is coming from. People tend to will be going down with injuries, and so quality, I'll prefer a lot more quality over quantity.
Zuberi, what are you doing? If this is the situation, Henderson is going, how with the state of the squad and the setup and the players that I've said, what are you doing? Are you focusing most of the bulk of your remaining funds budget on the left side centre back that we've discussed? Or are you going for the midfielder and the slightly cheaper option at centre back? Which one's crucial now? Which one's priority?
I've always emphasized somebody that can slot into right back, and the reason why I'm focusing on that department is
right back.
Yeah, here's why I'm going right back. So we have Gakpo, which is an attacker, left wing, rate the guy. And I'll see them in the 8. Didn't look too bad. He can get us up the pitch. To Steve's point, a lot of the players that we're looking for are up the pitch type of guys. We don't really need up the pitch guys. We have enough. We need to start focus on the other end, the defensive end of the pitch. And having a guy that, whether he's a 6 or he can go right back, I think is more pivotal. I mean, we still have Nat Phillips, and I know this is a weird name to be discussing. If we can give a team on Nat Phillips and let's say that $10 million that comes in for Hendo, that amount of money and Nat Phillips is enough to sweeten a squad player to come in, whether it's defensively or more on the right back side, or even defensively midfield. We don't necessarily need a starter to replace Hendo, because a lot of the guys that left in the middle weren't actually starters. So if you're thinking Sabazala, McAllister, Thiago, or Fab, or even Trent rotating in there, Gakpo rotating in there, still haven't mentioned Jones, Elliott, or Bisetti. So in the middle, I think we're good there. We need to start focusing on other areas of the pitch. Amir and Simicast might be out. I'm not sure if he's on his way already or what's going on with that. You know, question marks on Robbo. So defensively is where I'd really focus. And if that person can chips in the 6, if need be, with players dropping in the legs, because I think legs and rotation will be vital to secure my 2 cups that I want next season and top 4.
Steve, it's quite the upheaval if this happens. We could be in a situation come by the end of tomorrow. Because as I said, this won't linger, will it, Steve? This will either be decided tomorrow, like there may be media duties, or Jordan make a statement himself, or that he's staying and everything's fine or whatever. People are suggesting that it's a ploy to get a new contract. There's no way he's able for a new contract. People need to get fresh air. Like, if you guys are really fixated with this, this is a ploy to get a new contract for Jordan Henderson, get real, guys. Like, it may have been the case in 2021. It's most certainly not the case now. This is very real. As we guys have touched upon, the timing suggests that it won't be allowed to linger on. Jurgen Klopp won't want any interferences now with the plans. So I reckon by this time tomorrow, we will know if we have pretty much completely overhauled our midfield and our attack bar Salah within a matter of 12 months.
Yeah, and we needed to do it, to be fair, didn't we? Just going back to the points that the other 2 guys made, I'm going to say it now, Grizz, you can clip this and keep this. Curtis Jones will start 20 games a season, because we talk about, they said they wanted to learn to trust Curtis Jones. Well, Jurgen Klopp already does. So that situation, he will play lots of games of football next year. I would say he'll start 20 games across all competitions in the season. He's a genuine prospect for midfield for Liverpool Football Club right now. The drop off when he plays, when the likes of Thiago and that go missing, isn't anything like as big as we feared it would be. And he's brave and he carries the ball well, and he's a good link player, and he's good in the transition, and then all the things that Klopp wanted that he never had in his midfield, and now he's got 3 of them. So I think those 3 guys will share because Curtis Jones can play on the right as well as the left. So I think he'll play an awful lot of football. But you're right, Grizz. By this time tomorrow night, I think we'll have a much clearer picture. The timing of it, in terms of what time it came out today, unless it wasn't true, there's no value in releasing it at 10:30, 11 at night. Mm-hmm. This needed to come out out when it did, so the world of media could prepare itself for what's going to happen tomorrow, because it's very, very genuine. You don't put stories like that out at that time of night if there's no validity in them. They don't have any legs. I think by this time tomorrow night, we'll all be eulogising about his career and saying thanks for what you did. Some of us are already doing it. I have this evening on Twitter. I've said, my thoughts on the fact that he leaves as a club legend, and I think genuinely this time tomorrow night we are looking at being another one short in midfield, but it's not the same panic stations as it was when we lost. When the likes of people like Steven Gerrard and that walked out the club, he wouldn't have been someone that anyone on this show tonight would have written into the midfield 3 or 4, whatever it's going to be, for the opening game of the season. He very much would have been on the bench. And I think he knows that. And I think that's influenced his decision massively. And there's no point in messing around. We're talking about respecting him and doing the right things by him. He will do the right thing by the football club by not dragging this out. If he's made the decision, he's made the decision. And I think the club will respect him. And we'll be sitting here tomorrow night going, wow, that was quick. and the decision will have been made one way or another. I'm okay with whatever he chooses to do. If he wants to stay and sit on the bench and be the club guy, then cool, do it, because he brings an awful lot. But if he chooses to spread his wings and go and do something different, he certainly goes with my blessing for all he's done. But it will be, and I agree, it will be known what his decision is 24 hours from now.
Guys, there you have it. It had to be an emergency stream. I think we're in for another. I think we're in for another emergency stream tomorrow, guys. So have your phones ready. Be ready for Grizz's call and message. Don't ignore me this time. But yeah, I think we're in for a quick decision either way. What that decision is right now, let's be honest, guys. Let's be brutally honest. Only Henderson and his family will know that decision tonight. I think it's a case of he could change his mind tomorrow morning, wake up saying, no, I don't want to go yet. Do you remember Steven Gerrard? I think if he's made up his decision, he'll inform Klopp tonight. And Jurgen Klopp, we know, doesn't step in your way if you don't no longer want to be at the club. And if Jordan Henderson has said, Jurgen, I want to leave, I'm happy to accept the offer, Jurgen Klopp won't stand in his way. And I think that's right. I think mutual respect. I think Steve makes a very good point that there has to be respectful from the club, like we dealt with the Milner situation, the Bobby Firmino situation. They were allowed to leave on their terms kind of thing. I think Henderson should be given that respect as well. And then we'll address the excitement part of what happens next for Liverpool, because that's what us fans are like. Look, we'll love and adore and respect Jordan, and we'll give him the utmost respect for lifting every single trophy possible in the last 5 years. And what a tremendous leader off the pitch as well, and big him up every time. But I think it's very, life goes on. New leaders are born. New captains are born.
It is, but I've listened to I think we've squeezed this one pretty well. Very juicy debates, opinions. I have to make a wild shout, because I got one on every stream. Plot twist. Hendo stays and start every Europa game. That's where he gets his game. That's the trophy. Imagine Hendo lifting that trophy. There's no other trophy that he didn't lift. A shot at it again. Remember when Klopp came in, he was a part of that. So I know this is all juicy debate. I don't think it's for the contract. I definitely think it's genuine interest there. I think Hendo's genuinely interested in that, but I think he can look and Klopp go, look, man, you might be rotated in the league. The cup games are yours.
But will that be enough for him? We're talking about possibly, just a few minutes ago, we were talking about possibly one of the best captains, or definitely one of the best captains in recent times, for sure. He's going to be captain of the Europa League team, Zuberi? No,
because you can only play the competitions you're in.
Yeah, but that's the point.
Yeah, I don't see that. Henderson has got, I think, especially after you saw him training this off-season, where he tried to get in the best shape of his life. This guy wants to play. And
wants to play. He didn't get in that shape of his life at the age of 33 to be playing 20 minutes here and there.
Exactly. And you can see he's one of those type of players that if he's not on the pitch trying to influence the game with his leadership, then I think there's, as Steve said, he must have met with Klopp today after the training session and said, Klopp, listen, I've been your captain for so long. Give it to me straight. Where am I in your plans this season? And Klopp told him. I think
Klopp told him.
Yeah, he told him the truth. I think you are maybe second, third choice in your position. And so he said, with that in mind, then I'm making the decision to go and look after and secure my family for the next 3-4 years.
Generations. We mean next 3-4 years. Are you mad?
No,
is that how you doing?
No, the money.
Are you? If I'm giving you 700 grand a week, are you just telling your family?
No.
We got you for 6 months.
No. I mean, he's doing. He's like, what is he doing? The free
generations, bro.
2-3 years over there, and then he's secured for generations. That's what I meant.
Bro, not even 2-3 years. This is a generation. I'm serious, man. Guys, who's earning more than Mbappe? Probably Messi. Probably Is anyone earning more than 700 grand a week? Do we know from public figures, whatever? Guys in the chat, by the way, there's still 400 of you. And it's like, I don't even know what time it is in the morning in UK, but mad love, mad support. Not enough likes, though. That's a bit disappointing. But so can you just smash up the likes button right now? Who's earning more than 700 grand a week?
If that's the case, 100 million over 3 years, tax-free. Tax-free. So if he's earning that, I would, if I was Jordan Henderson's father, I'll be slapping him to Saudi for that money.
Yeah, we don't endorse that, but yeah, I know what you mean. It is what it is, guys. As we said, this was an emergency stream that we needed to speak on. The most certainly recent history, illustrious captain in terms of decorated captain, lifted every trophy. We've seen the scenes where he's crying at Champions League. This could be a huge. I think it's pivotal in Klopp 2.0, guys. This is it. If this goes through, this is Klopp 2.0 in full swing, Zuberi, and we're going to carry on this conversation on the call-in, definitely, because this is going to be, you didn't anticipate this much change, but let's see what happens. Steve, thank you very much for your time as usual. It's been a while. It's always good to catch up with you. Thank you very much for that. And Noor, smash it, bro. Keep smashing the thumbnails, all the edits and thumbnails. It's your boy Noor, guys. So make sure you go out and check him out. Go and give him a follow. That's his Twitter handle at Noorbeats. Zuberi don't do the social media, but yeah, man, he's active. He's active on the YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Possibly going to be upgrading his role as head of content. So keep an eye on that one. Colonel, always a pleasure. Any last wise hot takes, wild takes that gonna piss off people? Really, not really gonna enjoy yourself.
I usually don't agree with you, but Klopp 2.0.
Here we come, mate.
Klopp.
And listen, in the famous words of the Romano himself, Klopp 2.0. Here we go.
Here
Take
we
it,
go.
people. Love, respect, tranquility to all.
Peace.